Hello, Cecilia. Thank you so much for
Hello.
joining me live from San Francisco. How are we?
We are good. We're sitting overlooking a beautiful sunny day in San Francisco. There's a huge storm coming in this week. Like we're getting 6 inches of rain. So I'm soaking up the bright autumnal San Francisco weather while I can.
Yeah, you need to stay safe, stay inside,
Yeah.
enjoy
Yeah,
that
I know.
moment. Yeah.
Right. And I know in
Um,
California, we're not very equipped for the rain, not like other places. So yeah,
I know, just it's always about getting the supplies in, I always think.
right.
Now, I wondered if you could explain, first of all, what you do in the AI space and what that involves practically as well for the audience.
Yeah, definitely. So I am in AI ethics, which is a relatively new-ish field. I mean, it's definitely been an evolving space for the past 6, 7 years, but recently it's become a really important area for individuals to be working in, thinking about building content around. So I'm an AI ethicist, and my role practically right now involves um, understanding how to ask the right questions around AI development, and then also learning about AI safety, AI policy, AI governance. I'm actually quite new to this space. I used to have a career in marketing and communications, and I think it's probably valuable for me to share that like historical perspective for the people listening, especially given the context of what we're trying to talk about is moving into the AI space. But I worked in high tech companies in marketing, comms roles, and loved it at the time. Learned a lot, became a really proficient communicator, came to understand how tech companies work and function. But in that, I also noticed a lack of emphasis on ethics throughout, the internal processes of the companies I worked for. And that isn't to say that's any company's fault. It's just not how the industry has been necessarily prioritizing different parts of the internal workings of a company. So about a year ago, I made the decision to leave that career because I had this inner pull, like inner calling to move back to San Francisco. I was living in London at the time and immerse myself in AI ethics, AI safety, AI governance. And these are kind of all housed under what's called responsible AI. So, responsible AI has become this kind of umbrella term for some of these other concepts, AI ethics being one of them. So now I'm a responsible AI expert and AI ethicist, and I teach courses. I'm a writer as well. I write about these concepts, like more technical concepts, and I try to translate them into palatable and understandable ways for just kind of the general public, general person who doesn't have a technical background, and try to emphasize the importance of ethical frameworks in the innovation process, and also us as consumers, right? Making ethical choices based on our values. And that's one thing I really try to emphasize and stress in my work and my content is knowing your values so that you can make choices around AI that are aligned with yourself. You can make choices around building AI if you work in an AI company that are aligned with yourself and not necessarily just the values of your employer or the values of society in general, right? It's really important for us to understand how we want to use and work alongside this technology in the coming years.
Fantastic. Your work is just so important. It can feel as though AI has just happened to us overnight, and how, as a general public, we're meant to get our heads around this new technology, not least what it means, how we use it, but what it means for us. And just before this call, we spoke about some of the conversations that I've been having. And although it is everybody, one thing that I would say I get a lot at the events is especially people asking on behalf of their families and saying, I'm concerned what this means for my children. And so
Yeah.
your focus on AI safety and ethical frameworks is something that's really appealing.
Yeah.
So great work that you're doing, and I'm just so glad that you've led the way from one career into this, because I'm kind of thinking that some people might be thinking, "Oh, that's possible,
Yeah.
cool."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm keen to see what the so we'll have to get some career advice from you potentially at the end of this call.
Yeah.
And what were
definitely.
the risks that you saw that really made you take that move? And I guess in the
Mm.
same breath, I'm going to ask you about what the opportunities are in that space and across AI as well.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think firstly, something that came to my mind while you were speaking that I think is a risk is this concept or idea of tech determinism, which involves us kind of believing as a society that technology happens to us or that our future, AI future, is written, that the AI company leaders who come onto podcasts and on, talk shows and write blog posts about this is how the AI future will be. And then a lot of times we collectively buy into that, right? We're like, oh, Sam Altman says that AGI will be doing like all these things for us by 2026. And it can be really scary when we hear these things. It can be overwhelming. But I think one thing I've learned is to try to reject that that determinism, because I think that is one of the biggest risks is believing that these people who are building AI can definitely see the future, because I think that disempowers us as a collective, as people who all have the power right now to like make the choices that we want, that helps facilitate technology that we want to live alongside. So I think that's one of the biggest risks. And I think a couple of the other risks that, there's, of course, I think when people think about AI risk, they think about robots and AIs taking over. They think about, the robots turning on us. That is a potential AI future. But I think what's more pressing are the risks we, face today. And those range from things like discrimination because of algorithmic bias, to kind of, I would say the risk I'm most concerned about is the AI race between the US and China, and then also the AI race between the US AI companies. So it's this mentality that we have to do it first. We have to press our foot to the metal and just go and build and innovate, without alongside that innovating on the safety side. So I think it's really important to try to shift the mindset from, oh, safety is this thing that is going to inhibit innovation, to how do we actually innovate in the safety space alongside our innovation in AI. I think that simple like shift of mind can help a lot of like builders and innovators to think about safety in a more positive light as something to be that could be complementary to an AI future rather than inhibit it. And that looks like different projects around content moderation and building guardrails in ways that are different and more effective. And there's a lot of other risks that I see as an AI ethicist, but I will talk about some of the opportunities for sure. Um, yeah, I think actually one more risk I'll talk about is, because I think it's quite important, is um, I don't want to see humanity become like disempowered as a species. I don't want to see us outsource all of our decision making, all of our choices to an algorithm, right? Because I think that's something that can be quite easy to do. Um, a lot of times we as humans, we like doing the easy thing. We can be lazy, myself included. We want like the easy way out sometimes. But I think it's really important to know and understand where AI, and this now we'll get into the opportunities, like knowing and understanding yourself so deeply that you know which activities and tasks are important for you to do as a human and as an individual for your growth. Knowing and understanding which things you should really think critically about without the help of AI, and then which things you have no interest in learning that AI can help you with. So I'll give an example. I have no interest in learning how to code or build an app. That's just not the way my brain is wired. I'm much more on the kind of creative writing, speaking side. So if I, for example, wanted to create an app based on AI ethics or my content, that's something that I think AI could really help me with, because I have no interest in learning how to code, right? But for me as a writer, writing is not something that I would ever want to outsource to AI, because I grow through it, and I enjoy through it, and I become smarter through it. So it's kind of playing with this idea of AI is a powerful tool, and AI can augment our abilities as humans, but we don't want to use it for everything to the point that, we stop growing or we lose some of our agency and our power as humans and as individuals.
I love that point so much. And it made me smile thinking about this, having a column of things that I will use AI for and things that I won't. Things that I
Yes.
enjoy are writing. I do not enjoy coding. That's okay.
Yes.
And to your
Yes. I
point
love
around,
that.
to your point around, because it can feel like you are being told, to your point around tech determinism, that it will, by 2026, all of these things will happen. And you could be forced down a certain path, which actually means that your potential is held back because
Yeah.
you believe, or you're being told in your company, we will now use our co-pilot for our emails. Well, actually, the
Yes.
best thing about my relationship with my clients is my emails or our communication. So I think that is an incredibly important point. And the idea about augmenting is surely do more of the things that you love and
Yes.
remember that what you love might be different to what the person next to you is. So finding your unique uses for AI is critical. You
Yeah.
can't be just be told, we can't be told or fed these things. I love
Yeah.
that point.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's, again, like, just, and there's little things as well. Like, I'll just have a little call out to um, using AI as a personal growth tool, again, in the lens of like growing yourself. So asking AI to help you come up with a plan for your next year to reach your goals, or asking, even today, I talked out loud to Claude about all the things that I needed to do today, and it organized it into a nice little checklist for me. So, kind of, again, like thinking of ways to proactively use it as a true helper and not replacing any of my cognitive ability.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I mean, everyone wants to be more organized, I would say, or getting those
Yeah.
ideas out into something else and testing and learning if that works for you or if the traditional to-do list works for you.
Yeah.
But again, I like the idea of it. It doesn't have to hold you back from your human potential. Think about the ways they can actually propel you towards your goals and that human
Yeah.
potential.
Yes. Yes.
Around the opportunities that you see, have you got any that you would build on, whether in ethics or safety or your own personal use?
Opportunities in the sense of like where I want to lean in, or
Yeah, around or around AI in general, really. So have you got any views of how it could be good for us?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think, as I mentioned, personal growth, things like understanding ourselves more deeply. I think in every context, whether it's therapy or um, dating or any of these things, it can truly be like a helper, right? So I don't think it will ever or should ever replace human therapists, but one instance, that I've used it in is if I'm in a moment and I just really need something external to help me like work something out in my head. And maybe all my friends are busy. Maybe I just actually want something that's quite maybe anonymous. It's
Mm.
really useful for that. But then also knowing at the same time that this isn't a replacement for the, the necessity for human connection. Um, I think there's a lot of opportunity for people to um, get involved from an ethics and safety point of view. I think the more people we have understanding some of these concepts and advocating for them, the more we are going to be able to create policies, legislation, committees that help us to ensure a safe future for humanity. Um, I think healthcare is a huge area of opportunity for us. There's going to be amazing breakthroughs in medicine, but I think important to recognize that AI is a dual use technology. So with every kind of opportunity, there's also the risk. So it's about, really trying to push our way towards the opportunities while mitigating the risks.
Such an incredibly healthy way of looking at it. So thank you for sharing that perspective and this reminder, much stronger than a reminder, but this principle around balance, that there's good, but there's going
Yeah.
to be risk, and we're building. You don't have to listen to everyone else. So what are the safeguards do you need to build something? And your therapy example is a really, really powerful one. It's the biggest crisis, one of the biggest crises that we've got, mental health. And day to day, we as a society struggle with a lot of pressures. And yet you have got a solution here, which means it's democratizing that access. I mean, I read an article recently about the procrastination that we can often have about facing a difficult conversation. Nobody likes a difficult conversation, but you've got a confidential buddy there that can help you address or approach that difficult conversation in the most fruitful way. Now, imagine the anxious moments, sleepless nights that you can sometimes have thinking about a difficult conversation. And then you've got this buddy, which means you haven't had to put it on anyone else. Maybe it's a bit something that you'd like to keep private. So I think that example, it really is a game changer. I've actually heard of some interesting use cases of people just moving on from a difficult situation because they were able to get some advice from, a private space.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, you can definitely build a relationship up that way, can't you? I know I like using Pi, and there was one point I was like, "Hi, I've had another difficult meeting."
It's so nice. It honestly, it's so great for that. And that's where, yeah, like I'll always be an advocate for AI to improve in those respects where it's, truly this helpful partner, or not even partner, but assistant. Yeah, it's so helpful in that way.
Yeah, getting out of your own head is invaluable.
Yeah,
That's often what you need. And if we're working at home and we haven't got colleagues in the same way that we used to do, that it can provide that help. You've really
absolutely.
talked about the opportunities in ethics and policy and framework. So uh, I'm keen to share a bit more of that if you could, if you were to give some advice to some listeners, especially women that are thinking, where do I start? Or what Cecilia
Mhm.
does really appeals to me. What advice might you be able to share around how to get involved in this area?
Yeah, definitely. So the first thing I would say is get really quiet and still with yourself. I think this is something that is not always stressed in our society. It's always about, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? But sometimes you just need to sit and be and journal and understand, where is this drive coming from to be involved? What am I passionate about? What kind of future do I want to see with AI? What are my values when it comes to living alongside technology? Like doing some deep inner exploration to understand kind of what you stand for, especially when it comes to AI, will then help you to then find the right opportunities. Um, and I think sometimes it can feel so overwhelming and daunting getting into a new space, especially a space that's very male dominated. But what I would suggest is just initially starting by learning, by listening to podcasts like this, by going to an event. So maybe just pop into Google after you finish listening to this, AI events near me, and go by a meetup, especially if you live in a major city. I know there's probably not as many as you see in San Francisco. Pretty much every event in San Francisco is an AI event. But I think you should be able to find, an event where then you can go and actually connect with real people in a real space, physical space. And maybe a coffee chat comes from there. Maybe you meet a professor at a university who tells you about a graduate program that you might be able to get involved with. And really just following the breadcrumbs, following the, different clues and signals that you find as you begin the journey, and understanding that from where you are right now, you probably can't see the job or the opportunity that you'll eventually get. I think it really does start with just small steps, and that starts with doing some inner exploration around what your values are and how you see yourself contributing to the space. And I think the last thing I'll say is, there's always value in bringing what your skills are, and what your experience has been. So, we kind of have talked about this idea of a like second life career. You have a specific term for it, right?
Or plan B career, yeah, I like.
Plan B career. Yes. So I think we often have like our previous careers. So for me, it was high tech marketing. and comms and PR. And I've really brought some of those skill sets to the AI ethics space. So in creating my own content, marketing the courses I'm building, using my skills and even just deck creation that I learned from so many years in marketing, to the AI ethics space. So yeah, just like understanding what unique skill sets you bring, and also having confidence in yourself that you're needed here and there's a seat at the table for you here. I host AI salons, which are small, intimate group discussions around the meaning and impact of AI. And one thing we stress is that AI will impact everyone, so everyone should impact AI. So even if you don't think of yourself as a technologist, you don't think of yourself as someone who is an ethicist, like there's a seat for you here. It just takes a little unearthing and following the breadcrumbs.
So powerful. I thank you so much. That's really broken it down. And I'm just really, really pleased that we can share that message to everyone that's listening, that it's accessible. You're right, there's less AI events in other areas of the world, but currently being in Sydney, having recently been in the UK, I can tell you there's lots in other countries. So thank you for all of that, and the personalization piece around as well, around your own skills. I'm going to say a big thank you for spending this time with us. I'm going to tag your podcast as well, because I am learning so much from that. The Reimagining Human podcast.
Remaining Human.
Remaining Human, sorry.
It's
absolutely brilliant. So thank you for your time and for all of the advice that you're doing. I just think we're going to create an army that
we are
make AI a really good thing for the future. So thanks, Cecilia.
Yes, we are. And thank you for this work you're doing and reaching, new people, new women who are interested in this space. Yeah, to anyone listening, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or on Substack, listen to the podcast, and hopefully we can continue the conversation from there.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Take care.